My name is Nikita Polikov. I'm a senior solution architect in our Fast Track organization. We're in the product group, and we're kind of the customer and partner success team that works with customers, partners, and the product group to help make our products better and help improve your experiences with our product. So today we're going to talk about the topic of migration to the unified interface for our Dynamics 365 customers. We'll talk about some best practices and unlocking some of the new experiences that you can enable when you move to this presentation tier. So first, one of the reasons that you're probably here, or hopefully if you haven't yet, we do have the news that the web client, the classic web client inside of Dynamics 365 has been deprecated, which means that it is running now, it is in deprecated state, and it will be completely off October 2020. Right? So the message is here to start acting now, right? And I want you guys to be the champions and others that go and help others understand this and grow this this awareness within your organization around this important timeline. What I wanted to introduce to you, and this is something that my team and the product group and engineering teams all work together to ensure that when we make an announcement like that, we have information that helps prepare our customers, partners, and organizations using our products to make sure they understand how to make that transition. So what I'm introducing to you today is that we have a unified interface migration playbook. You can find the information for it here. So like I promised, the slides are up front for this community. So we have a community specific to unified interface for everybody. It's open and available to public for you to register and post, or even if you just want to come in there and download the playbook and access the resources. We have a blog, and we're going to be posting a bunch of quick tips and information about how to best use the unified interface. There's a lot of new goodies within it for you to understand how to use. And we'll be providing that content here. There's a forum here. You can ask questions, but the playbook and the guides and information is available here off of our Dynamics 365 community online. So the playbook has a ton of information in it. We only have 20 minutes today, so I'm actually going to do a couple select material pieces from it. Your technical audience, so I promise you a demo. But let's review kind of what we have here in this unified interface migration playbook. We have chapter 1, which is just beginning the conversation. We'll dive into that just after this slide. But it's about, why is there a unified interface? Why is Microsoft making this investment? What are some of the value propositions? Even being able to see almost feature by feature comparison between the web client experience and the unified interface. So definitely take the time to invest, to watch. There's almost 4 hours worth of content between these chapters, and we have the full PowerPoints available for you on our website. And the beauty of those PowerPoints is that the PowerPoints, when you look at a feature and we show you, we have an animation. So if there's something interactive and interesting to see, we have the PowerPoint there with the animation that's showing you the exact feature and capability and helps you understand that as well. So in the chapter 1, we kind of just talk about what it is, what are the business benefits and value behind moving to the unified interface. As I said, I'll dive into that. In chapter 2, we're going into exploring. How do you actually get going with this migration? What are some of the options for me to start testing this application? How do I run this unified interface in parallel, or maybe create, when I have an opportunity to create and start new projects or expansions to my implementation, to do so with the unified interface. In chapter 3, we talk about even more details around the specifics around the transition, some of the feature and changes and differences between the experiences for you to be aware of, and to help you plan a more successful implementation. But because of all of this is an opportunity for you to also re-gauge, relaunch, and work with your end users and your business stakeholders again, there are some opportunities for you to continue optimizing your implementation as well. And there's a full chapter dedicated to those specific topics. So let's fast forward and let's get into a few select content pieces from the Unified Interface Migration Playbook in Chapter 1. First of all, what is Unified Interface? It is our new presentation client that we use across all of our apps in Dynamics 365. If you remember the history of our product, if you've been with us for a few years, you know we used to have many different players and experiences. So your configuration, that metadata, those views, those dashboards and forms, all behaved slightly different. They all had a very different set of features and capabilities between maybe the mobile application, what you have on desktop, and maybe what you had running in the Outlook experience. Those were all running unique different pieces of code that were rendering that metadata that you've configured. And you always have to struggle with that, and many companies said, okay, maybe we'll do mobile later or Outlook later because it's just harder to do. Or maybe we're on desktop, or we're not going to support tablet. With the new experience, what we've done, and this is the modern version of Dynamics 365 that everybody's running in the cloud right now today. We're on one version, so everybody's on latest and greatest all the time. What we have here now is that we have unified interface, unifying all of those players. So you have one technology, one representation of how we read that metadata and play it back to your users no matter how they're consuming it. Now, we kept the web client there because we know it's a big migration. And we also had to catch up a lot of technology here, right? At this point, we do feel like the technology within the unified interface is at near parity for you to go ahead and make that migration. So that's why the deprecation announcement, to have you move for your environment. But if you note this, that means today, if you're using mobile or you're using our app for Outlook, you're already using unified interface. So potentially, you actually probably already done some of the necessary tuning work that is needed to migrate your desktop users to unified interface. In fact, even today, you can go to your system today and go in your app switcher and switch to that mobile application as you're rendering it to your mobile users and already use it on the desktop. So with the deprecation, one of the things that's important to understand is, well, why do I even care to move to this interface other than you're telling me now at this point I have to, right? So let's get into that. First of all, it's optimizing your existing investment. You don't have to rebuild your workflows, plugins, and all of the integrations and things you've done at the core platform level. You get to basically up-level your implementation with the new capabilities in our technology. So it's important to understand that. It is a new UI. Some of the UI, we just couldn't push it enough and anymore and change it and make it modern. So we're introducing this new UI that, as you see when you go to Unified Interface, it is more fresh, more modern for your users, and they expect those kind of things in the modern age. Pretty doesn't do it alone in business applications. You have to be more productive, and a lot of the capabilities inside Unified Interface allow you to be way more productive in entering and working with data, because that's core of what your users do with our application. Because we had a chance to fully rebuild the UI stack, we're able to use some of the most modern web technologies, and with that came a lot of performance benefits and improvements for us to be able to deliver for you. We already took all of our native applications. So if you look at your implementation today and you click on the drop-down for the application switcher, you see Sales Hub, Customer Service Hub. So we already done all of our flagship out-of-the-box applications and rebuilt them using the unified interface. And those are already available for you to start using today. Extend or add your other capabilities too. And as we said, there hasn't been any investments in the web client, and at this point it is deprecated. So what are the unique benefits of the unified interface? Well, first of all, it's ease of onboarding to mobile or an Outlook experiences. We have a lot of new out-of-the-box controls, so you can change toggles, you can have star rating controls, and controls that, is pretty itself important? No, pretty is good, but also it allows somebody to read data better. So there's better controls that help your users visualize the data on those forms a lot quicker by providing a better UI control for that data. And also unique and super exciting is the Power App Component Framework. Not only you've got our out-of-the-box controls, you also have the controls that you can build yourself, and there's a ton of community resources out there where the community has embraced this platform and technology, and you'll only be able to realize the value of that by moving to Unified Interface. If you've seen any of the Power Apps demos for the last few years and you've seen the Canvas experience, you always ask yourself maybe fear of missing out question. I like that UI maybe, and wish I had the freedom and dynamics to have that capability. Not only that's something that we're going to do at platform level moving forward, you can today go ahead and embed the Canvas application experiences into your Dynamics. So if you really need to do some creative and bespoke looking UI, you can bring that into Dynamics today, and it's only possible in Unified Interface. Also, we continue in our investments in Power BI and adding contextual Power BI forms. So for example, if you're in an account form and you wanted to have that Power BI report pre-filtered by that account, you can do so now in that new interface. Obviously, we talked about all the tasks and performance and efficiencies that can provide. So I want to show you a quick screenshot of if you were able to get onto the Unified Interface, some of the things that you can do. You see some of those new controls in the star rating. It allows you to see the quality or rating of that customer really quick. If you had specific visualization needs that you needed to deliver for your customer and you wanted to provide quick at a glance kind of where's my Know My Customer and an onboarding process, here you see an example of somebody building a Power App Component Framework to basically provide a more rich visualization of data, and I can immediately at a glance can tell where I am around my customer. And obviously, if I wanted to just get a more exciting user interface going and Power App Canvas application experiences are better fit sometimes, I can go and insert an embedded Canvas experience here, as you can see on this grid, overriding our contacts grid and providing more rich experience in that interface. There's a lot that you can do with this Power App component framework, and the community has been adopting it, blogging about it. At this point, if you're going to go and looking for it, it's not like you're going to be trying to figure out where somebody's got a sample. You're going to have pages and pages of online search related to Power App Control Framework. Sometimes they shorten it to PCF, but definitely take a look at that, and we have the documentation for you. So a good example of that, when you used to build web resources and spend a lot of time hooking up the experiences in those web resources to the forms, the Power App Component Framework has a lot of that plumbing built in and allows you to reuse those components with ease. Let's fast forward really quick to chapter 2, now that we understood a little bit about the unified interface. Right? One of the first things that you might be wondering, well, how do I get started in my environment today? Now there's a few options. I'm going to show you one of the options today, which is basically, let's take your existing application and convert it to a unified interface application. We all got business backlog to still deal with and continue, so we can't just maybe go and do a full sweep and convert our application. What if I wanted to stand up a unified interface app, representative of my experience in my environment, and the value of that will be the fact that you'll be able to see the same data with same users and be able to provide that experience. So let's take a look at that and see if we can do a quick demo of that experience. So let's say you're in your Dynamics implementation today. This is what it looks like today if you haven't made the conversion yet in our unified interface. And you have the navigation. You might have some custom experiences. For example, here I have something specific to portals, and I wanted to take and convert this application as is to the new unified interface. So what I'll do here is, I'll go to the new Maker experience, and by the way, if you're a Dynamics customer, you can go to Make That Power Apps, and what's important here is just to make sure you select your Dynamics environment. So I'm going to select my Dynamics environment. I'm going to go to Solutions, and I'm actually going to go create that application in a solution. And the reason why I'm doing that here is so I'm able to actually take that and elevate it, if I needed to, from my dev environment to my UAT, if I wanted to maybe share that with more users. So I'm going to create a solution. I'm going to get into this solution. Go to New, Model-Driven Application. So Unified Interface is what's powering all of the model-driven applications in Power Apps, and that's where you're able to do in Power Apps and both in Dynamics. So, all right. So this is going to get you to that, and you've seen a selected publisher. It's also important for my schema name, but let's just say we're going to call it New App. And what's important here in this first step, I'm going to select Use an Existing Solution to create an application. And move forward. I'm going to select the default solution here. Default solution here. And I'm going to create Sitemap. And the one you want to select is Sitemap. That's the one out of your default Dynamics 365 application. That's the one that has fully everything that's configured. So we're going to go and hit Done. Now the good news is what this app is going to do now, it's going to create a new app module, and it's going to go ahead and take a copy of your default sitemap, so it's safe to mess with in this new application, and you're not ruining anything that you may be doing for your production workloads. So now at this point, I've added everything I had in my sitemap. I can see and go modify those changes in my sitemap, and I can see that I've got my custom portal application here or whatnot. Now there's a lot more you can do here. We're going to skip ahead and just save and publish this application, and we're ready to play it. So now what you're going to see is we were able to take our existing sitemap from our default application with all the customizations and at least the sitemap navigation that you've done, all of your custom entities and all the things that you've put into that sitemap today, and be able to play that in the new unified interface. So what I've shown you before now is played back in the new unified interface. So there's a little bit of a difference in the way the menu navigates. So on the lower left, if I had all those little sections, I see my portals is here and I can go and navigate to that experience. So that's a really quick demo of being able to take your application, and now that you have your application, I can go to my application switcher and still go back to my default experience, continue working and delivering business value to my customers. I know this is still here. I might need to be able to support my customers, but I can continue and start discovering my new application that I've just created, which is basically a copy of that sitemap. I'm seeing how my dashboards are rendering. I'm seeing how my views, my forms, and all of those experiences are rendering to give you that confidence that your application is going to be doing the right things and start to explore what's possible for you as you start making this transition. So what we've done here is, the reason why I want you to encourage you is, I want you to be the champion within your organization to go and try this out, see your experience, because a lot of this, and sometimes at leadership level, it's that fear of unknown, right? Got a whole new UI stack that's coming in Dynamics. What does that mean for me and my users? What does it mean for my implementation? You don't have to wait. You can really quickly, just as I've shown you, take your existing sitemap, convert it to a model-driven application that's running on this new unified interface, and do a number of things. Right? One is, you're going to see that dashboards are still there, my views are still there, everything I've configured, I can log in with any user, and I'm going to see the data that I expected to see, and I can even go back and forth and switching. You can even do a side-by-side experience if you're using the Windows capability of Windows left, Windows right, and really go and prove to somebody that everything is still here. Now, the things you will continue discovering, and you'll read that more in our follow-on chapters in the playbook, is, well, what do I do moving forward? Do I have maybe some JavaScript that I've kind of had sitting around for a while that needs the modernization, that maybe been deprecated as well? You can use the solution checker and other capabilities for you to be able to see what is available and what I need to actually do in my implementation in that front-end code. You don't need to update your plugins. You don't need to update your workflows. You don't need to update your integrations. Your system still works. But you need to take a look at what you have customized on the front end, right? There's some topics, for example, like the classic process dialogues. Those are not available in a unified interface, but there's a lot of new exciting capabilities and strategies that you can use, from business process flow to some of the pop-ups to maybe some of the embedded Canvas app experiences. They're going to provide some options for you. Even flows, some instant flows, have an option of providing an input control on them. So there's a lot of new and exciting capability that's available for you in the new unified interface. And the follow-on chapters will produce that. But doing this exercise and activity of experiencing the application, your application in your real environment, being able to, for you to kind of take the first pass, become the champion saying, hey, this is coming, but this is what it looks like in our experience, and start to experience and start adding some of those new capabilities and showing to your users. If you've done what I've did with the solution, now you can take that solution, move it to your QA environment, and maybe share it with your sample test users and get their feedback around this. And a lot of this and more is in our covered in our playbook. Well, what can a timeline for this look like? We've just released all of our UI tuning and experiences as part of our 2019 release wave 2. So you can begin this month to create that parallel application. If you find bugs or issues, always report them, right? Don't wait and say, well, we see some issues. And support can help you clarify if the reason why your custom button on the ribbon is not showing, is it a bug, or is it something that maybe needs to be corrected and fixed in the JavaScript? Please engage and work with support in helping you get to those answers quickly and be able to move forward with your implementation. I know the UI change is kind of a big deal for your users and your business stakeholders. So you want to work on user acceptance testing and make sure it looks good and feels good to your users, and engage in that change management and training. And you really want to grow that champion community within your organization, and basically have that opportunity to relaunch your application and re-engage your users, right? There might be some users that kind of reluctantly use your application, or maybe don't love it as much. You're going to be able to, with this opportunity, to kind of re-engage and potentially get to a point where you have raving fans of your application and champions, and they're engaging with you, continuing to innovate and improve your application. So it's kind of an opportunity to also do some transformational things within your program, within your organization. Now, we had organizations that have done this work within about 8-week period while still doing their business backlog. So it's really going to depend on your specific level of customization that you have on the UI that you've done with your APIs and code and other kind of additions. Your vendors have already been known this message was coming. They've already been working on all their tooling, so if you have an ISV product, they should be ready for you at this time to actually be able to consume the new unified interface. If potentially they might need to get their solution updated, they should already have that posted on their website or respective sources of installation. So our key message here is really start today. It doesn't take a lot of time to get going and experience and just find out what your experience looks like in this unified interface. We have the full playbook. Please do take the investment of the time to go look at some of those materials. I've done just maybe a tiny % of the content that's available in those in that material for you. If you like more long-form reading, we have a full white paper on making a transition. It talks even more in depth on all of those content. So there's no shortage of content around available for this. If you've got specific questions, engage us on forums. If you've got specific issues and technical problems, please engage Microsoft support. In the Fast Track booth in the organization, we're going to have some people throughout the day available for you as well to continue asking you questions. So we'll take just a few questions. I think we have just a few minutes left, and then I'll take more right after the stage. I don't know where we have the microphone. Test, test. Come on out. Test, test.
What's happened to Learning Path that was in Dynamics?
So Learning Path is just came back in public preview. So Learning Path will be available for you. It's going to be called Custom Help Panes. I think it's in,
It just came back and it said public preview. How can we get access to it, or do you know when it's coming available?
I would recommend looking at our blog on Dynamics 365 blogs, that it should be posted there. If not, it will be upcoming soon. But yeah, Custom Help Panes is contextual help with little callouts and balloons and pops that can show your users what to use in the application. And we definitely have that coming back. It's coming back in public preview right now. Okay. Be happy to take more questions after we get off stage, but I wanted to thank you for your time. And please fill out the survey, and we'll go from there. Thank you.